Hi. I was 28 years old when David and I were disfellowshipped from the organization. So I felt I was rather behind in being educated. The Watchtower doesn't put a lot of store in secular education for sure. So when we left the Witnesses, I set some goals for myself as far as becoming more educated. So these are the ways in which I was first starting to get into my education. I set the goal of wanting to read at least one book from all the best literary classic literature. That was one of the goals. The second goal that I made was to read 2 Bible commentaries for every Bible book. And we always loved movies, so we watched a lot of movies. And I found those 3 things did help me to get some education. Windows into different time periods, different people, different settings and places. And another thing, when David and me would be talking about movies we also noticed that a lot of movies, good movies, we like older movies generally, mostly, but they all have some undercurrent repeated themes. So when we started to analyze the movies we were watching, we found that even within movies you would see certain truths or light, even if it wasn't intended by the person who produced or directed the film. Certain truths ring out of these movies and books, literature. Some of my plans kind of got kiboshed when Max came along. So I haven't read 2 Bible commentaries for every Bible book, and I haven't read one of all the classic literature. But it's still a goal for me. So recently I reread one that I'd read before, which is Lord of the Flies. Max has read this one as well. Lord of the Flies by William Golding. The story, I won't tell you too much about it. I would recommend you read the book. There's also a great film of it from 1963 with the director being Peter Brook. That's the one I would recommend. There is one that came in the 90s, but I wouldn't recommend that one as much, or at all. I'd recommend 1963. So the story is about a group of British boys that get marooned on an island during wartime, and the conditions on the island are gorgeous, right? It's like a paradise, very beautiful, but they're alone, a bunch of boys, and so they try to establish their own kind of system of ruling themselves, and it turns out pretty terribly. So I won't tell you any more of the story. I would recommend you either read the book or watch the movie. But it got me thinking about the Watchtower's Paradise Gospel, because the Gospel of Paradise Earth was very important to me when I was a Jehovah's Witness. This was something that I longed for. It was what kept me motivated. It was where my heart was. So there was a problem with is it true? I had to ask myself, is it true that these promises? And what is, and we talk about that in one of our other videos about the paradise in the Humpty Dumpty series, Paradise Promise. But there is something missing in their paradise. So I started to think about, if you and I, say, were plonked into a paradise like that, how long would it stay a paradise? Right? So this got me thinking that just the surroundings, a beautiful place, a beautiful setting, does not give you paradise conditions. Something is missing from that picture. The people have to be paradise-like material too. And how does that happen? So I realized that it was more than just having a a good upbringing or having accurate knowledge, which is what the Watchtower encourages you to have accurate knowledge, and if you had accurate knowledge, somehow this was going to transform you. No, something is missing in the Watchtower's paradise. So the next time I'll talk more about that.